Action Comics 1035, Philip K. Johnson and Daniel Sempier. Um, Obviously, this has been good stuff. This is kind of the final issue before we actually start the Warworld saga,
Mhm.
which is kind of exciting, and we've been looking forward to this for some time. Last issue, of course, we had all of the really dark stuff that pushed Thao La over the edge into actual attack. Superman starts the issue with sort of intervening as all this is going down. Supergirl and John are there as well. Um, and it really sells this idea that Lois really is like saying, no, don't hurt her, like it's not her fault, like they've pushed her to this.
Mhm.
And there's a great moment where she's got like a communicator device. Superman, in classic Superman fashion, convinces her to believe in herself that they can go back to Warworld and
Yep.
stop this. And I think what I like the most about this, other than just that classic Superman thing of convincing someone to believe in themselves, because that's
Mhm.
very traditional Superman, is I like that this comic book did a really good fake out here, where I actually thought she was about to die because of the way she says, promise me that you'll go and save them, because it looks like this
Uh-huh.
this box is going to kill her, right? This device is going to kill her,
Right.
and it actually genuinely sold me on this thing that this was going to be the final nail of motivation for Superman to say, no, I have to go, I have to leave Earth. This woman died. I have to go and save everyone else. This is too important now.
Mhm.
But she actually did survive because Superman, swoops in and like, sort of like basically withstands a lot of the pain for her, like grabs it and
Right.
takes the pain on. So which again is very Superman and selfless and heroic and all those things. And it was a big moment. It was a fist pumping moment. But it does lead to this great thing where it's a communication thing, and Mongol and Co were talking to her through it, and Superman then appears to Mongol on Warworld via
Mhm.
like a sort of hologram style thing, and Mongol's all, "Do you know who you stand before?" And Superman says, "When this is all over, only one of us will be standing."
It's
Uh,
so good.
and he envisions the device, which obviously makes a hologram go away. But
Right.
notably, then one of them says, "It is done," and Mongol smiles. This is all going according to plan.
Yeah. Yeah. They want him there. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's been drawn in, and it kind of goes into Johnson's whole point that Superman's a symbol, and if you want to defeat something, you crush that symbol, and that goes into the future state stuff that we read from him. That takes place in the future, and this definitely feels like what leads to that. Uh,
And
but yeah, that
yeah,
whole
I
sequence
think
is
what's
fantastic.
interesting though, or what was a good thing about this book, is that every character after this all know this is a trap. Every single
Hmm.
person, Lois, John, everyone, they all say this is a trap. He's like, I know it's a
Yeah,
trap, but I still have to go. It doesn't change the fact that I'm coming.
right.
I'm going to go. I'm going to come home, and that's it. And John tries to talk him out of it, of course. Um, and maybe some of that's in this book, some of that's in the other book, because it kind of happens in both books, because the good big goodbye is
Yeah.
also in Superman, Son of Kal-El. But
Hmm.
um, the Justice League are like, we should probably be going with you, but there's too many things going on. Also, you're kind of out the team for a bit because of that shit you pulled with intervening last issue.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, yeah, this does feel like a sort of thing where maybe the whole league should go to Warworld and save all these people who have been enslaved. Um, but we get a classic Superman Batman moment where the League leave, but Batman doesn't, and it's kind of like the opposite of him Batman out of a scene, because he's sort of Batman. He Batman remains in a scene, for lack of a better
Yep.
term.
Everyone else leaves and he stays.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
stealthily, if such a thing's even
Hmm.
possible. Uh, and just basically asks where the fragment is, and Superman's got it hidden. It's shielded. No one can sort of pick up where it is. And this is the one thing that kind of ties into the fact that the Authority are going to be going on this trip with them. I'm not sure how important actually having read Superman the Authority is going to be to
I'm
this.
telling you, I don't think they are, and I think that Johnson took it upon himself to put him together an expendable team. You know,
Yeah, it's okay.
that if something happens to one or two of them, that I think it's okay based off of, whatever Morrison did. Because again, I still feel like that Morrison book was a future state. And so here's more of that kind of future state stuff, kind of like the magistrate and all that coming back around to what's going on now. Because there's even a newer character. You have Mongal when you get to see the team put together.
Yeah, but there's a bit of Superman and John saying goodbye, which is it's funny because it kind of happens in both books in a weird
Yeah,
way, but the different scenes.
this one hit me, and it was the hug there that always come back, and regardless of if that's true or not, it's just a good a Superman and something Clark would say. But before that, when John gets mad and he goes, "If Damien's creepy dad asked me to join the league after kicking you out, I'm gonna punch him in his stupid head," right? And I like that. And Clark's just like, "You don't have to join. Do whatever you want, right?" And he's just aggravated. He goes, "Ugh, that guy." And I was like, John, it's how I feel most months reading Batman. All right, it's perfectly normal, you know.
Matt loves reading Batman. He loves reading detective. He likes to.
Yeah, I love reading detective. Batman's been fine, but I just thought that was funny that John, of course, is irritated by Damien's creepy dad, which I thought, like, outside for humor's sake, I think that John wouldn't like. There is still some reverence. I feel like he would have to his best friend's dad.
Honestly, my favorite moment in the issue. Well, actually, maybe that's not true. My favorite moment is probably the moment I already talked about with the fake out death and him jumping in. But my other favorite moment in the issue though is actually the page with Lois next. They obviously they fly off into the air and they sort of start seemingly having sex in the sky before going to back to the bed or whatever. But the moment I actually really like is that Lois is sitting and she's been, did you say goodbye to Crypto? Did you do this? Did you do that? We should try and keep track of this and look after the Genesis thing. And Superman just says, Lois, fly with me. And she just gives this little smile. It's just this little thing where she's just doing the job. She's keeping track of everything. It's like it's like as a mother more so than a journalist or anything like that. But in the sense that she's sort of making sure she's keeping track of all the moving parts. The kid, the dog, everything. And he's just like
the story points.
Right,
too.
And he's just saying, stop, let's go and have a moment, because I'm about to leave. We have to, like, share something together here. And obviously all those pages afterwards are all really nice, and it's all very neat. And romantic and beautiful and all the rest of it. And, he kisses on the forehead later that night. And then we see him with the team. Who I recognize about half of.
So you got Natasha, Iron Steel, right? You got Apollo and Midnighter, you got Mongal, Enchantress, Manchester Black, and then I forget the new name. Oh, it's Light Ray.
Light Ray, that's what it is, okay.
Yeah, it's the speedster character.
I'll be honest, I didn't
from the last issue.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't recognize that was Mongal just because.
Yeah. Only reason is because of Suicide Squad, right? Like she had a moment in Guns, so that's why. I don't know her origin or anything, but I feel like it's fitting that a Mongol-inspired person, or even if she's from there, going back to Warworld is a nice touch for this story.
Yeah, they teleport away, and it just says, next, the Warworld Saga. And what's so exciting about that is it does kind of feel like one day there's going to be a giant, like, hardcover called the Warworld Saga for however many issues this is going to... It may even be an omnibus. I don't know how long this is going to last, but...
I always say this, and it's kind of controversial to other Superman fans, but, like, one of my all-time favorite moments is from For the Man Who Has Everything, where, they wake up Superman from the Black Mercy and Mongol's there, and he just says, Mongol, burn, because he's ripped away this perfect life and, made Superman really feel like all this stuff, and he's just not happy. And I feel that's the vibe here now, that the whole, like, now setup is Mongol burn. And I feel that it's nice that Johnson can kind of tie that in here, that he's taking it to him. Instead of Superman being that reactive hero, it almost feels like he's being proactive, even though he knows it's a trap, and he's like, it has to be dealt with. And he's put together this ragtag group to go to Warworld.
I think the book's done a good job of convincing me why he's making this choice. Between finding possible Kryptonian, like, relatives, well, not relatives, not family relatives, but you know what I mean, like...
other Kryptonians, basically. Like, even if they were a colony.
Yeah. Like, but finding other Kryptonians who have been in this situation, learning more about this, a bit more, because I think the last issue of this book was probably the standout issue of. It's not the standout issue of Johnston's run, because that first issue did in Future State is still like the pinnacle of everything he's done, but. That last issue, right? Then it's not to put this, because this one's a solid, great issue, but last issue sold the darkness and the vileness of what Mongol has people do. It was so like sinister the way it turned Thaula into doing what she was doing, where she felt she had to do this, or her loved ones would die, killing the other two. In fact, there's a scene in this issue where they've made graves for the two Thalosians who died, who never even woke up. And Superman says, I'm going to find people who knew their names and knew their history, and we can write their story down, and it'll be remembered, it won't be forgotten. And but it does have this air, and it reminded me of how good that last issue was, because it was genuinely quite shocking the way they just kind of killed these characters off.
I also just had the realization that I know you weren't big on the whole Knights of the Round Table, future, House of L stuff, but I feel like this keeping Thaula on Earth to heal and stuff kind of pinpoints that too, about now, like, there's going to be multiple branches of the House of L. It's not just John and Kara. Like, now you have somebody else, because we know that on, where she's from, they wear the sigil on their skin as like a, as a point of hope and as a symbol for freedom. And now I just realized with her staying back, and him going to War World and stuff, that's another piece of that story coming into place, which is really cool. Man, he's doing such a good job.
It's funny because all the stuff with War World actually feels like the one thing from Future State that may actually just happen, because the actual War World stuff doesn't necessarily feel like it was that far in the future. And all the stuff in the far, far future with like the Descendants is like, well, this is basically Superman's own Legion style story where it's that far in the future, but it doesn't matter that it's like, it doesn't. But
I do like that is a piece that's in place now, that he's kind of breadcrumbed there.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is that can happen, and it's just it's just a distant future that is, that's where he's saying the story's going to go eventually, but it's never going to affect the current present day stuff.
No, not like the War World, where it feels like that, despite that piece in the future having Smallville be this mecca, of Superman people, outside of that, this feels very much, that just feels like a chapter.
Yeah,
or a prologue.
Whereas, like, the Gotham stuff from Future State, it feels more like, this was a possible future, but it feels like by the end of Fear State, like, they'll stop that future from happening. That's what it feels like anyway to me.
Right.
So.
No, definitely.
So I think that's a key difference, which is interesting. So. No, really, really good issue. Art is solid throughout, I think. There's some really big moments, like I said, like Lois and Clark flying and kissing. I mean, that small moment I like, where he basically just tells it to shut up, let's go fly and have a romantic moment, stop worrying about things and let's go do this. But think about how many words I just used to describe that moment. But in the scene, all it is Lois, come fly, and her smile. It's the art, it's one line and then the smile, and that tells you all. So, really good stuff. All right, what are you giving Action Comics?
I'm gonna say 9.
I'll go 8.5. I'll say that the shadow of that the even more amazing last issue lingers over it a little bit, but it's very, very good. I'm really excited for War World Saga.